Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and good morning to all of you. Welcome to my channel again. And I just want to say that since I'm at 49 subscribers, thanks to the new subscriber. I'm gonna be close to 50. So I hope by the end, once this video is posted, I reach 50, and then from 50, I will celebrate my achievement for 50 subscribers with a thank you video to all of you guys and then all the support you guys gave. So, first of all, today we were learning about the Native Wars, which started on March 13th and ended on March 18th of 2022, which was a 5-day war. And we're going to go into the video of how it started, what made it happen, and what happened after the war was over. So, stay tuned for the ride and enjoy. The war in the beginning started when a country by the name of Saja did an expedition on looking for new territory and land to create their first step of building an empire. And I have pulled up the article to read and to explain how this started. So let's get into the article. So on March 13th, 2022, on the Plastic News newspaper, the title of the article says "New land discovered," and it says new land has been found on the Tolese Seas, a country by the name of Pacifica. The name of the country was created by Basajan Royal Fleet Admiral Arthur Pendergast. Pendergast was sent on a conquest by King Harold to help look for land for their economy since they are slowly losing more money from their old industries. The voyage that Pendergast was sent on took 2 days. He was on the urge of returning back home until one of his crew spotted a landmass just a few miles away. Pendergast ordered his men to set sail for the island, and as soon as they landed, they were met by the locals. At first, they were scared and hesitant that the new beings found their land, but when Pendergast told them that they weren't there to hurt them and only wanted to make peace and their help for their economy, they agreed. They agreed fully and became friendly with the admiral and his crew. The leader of the tribe, Chief Kanatog, made a deal with the admiral. He requested that in order for them to help with their economy, they would need to be protected by the other tribes that are on their land, and would be able to be treated as equals and not separates. The admiral agreed and sent a letter to the king asking if he could accept the terms. The king later sent a reply saying that he does agree with the terms and that their requests will be fulfilled. So basically, there's a new continent by the name of Pacifica, and on that continent there's natives. There are a total of 4 tribes. So let me find my map and I'll explain it to you. So on this map there are 4. This is the original map documented by Admiral Pendergast, and there are a total of 4 different tribes. Up here is the desert, these are the plains, this is the jungle, and this is the delta. These 4 tribes live on the same territory, but this tribe, the delta, made allies with a foreign country, and which angered these 3 natives, these 3 other clans, and these clans decided to join together and fight this tribe and their foreign ally. So basically, the war was about the natives trying to push out the foreign invaders, which they see as foreign invaders, and they see that the Delta clan had betrayed them, so they wanted to end them all. And basically, they were at war for each other for years, and the Delta clan did lose a lot of men. They only had a small group, about this big, while the other tribes were huge, big numbers. and they were skilled at hunting, and they were very brutal. So the reason why the Delta tribe asked help for the foreigners that came to their land is because they didn't have enough military power to fight off the other tribes. Plus, they wanted to keep their home because they lived on that Delta tribe. And if the Delta and Sahara and jungle, if the Delta falls, then the jungle, the plains, and the desert tribes will take it over and making it theirs, and then it will be none left for the Delta tribe. And you're wondering, there was an island on the southern part of the Delta. Why couldn't they just evacuate? Well, you see, as much as they would evacuate, they didn't want to evacuate. And when the foreigners came, they wanted to also help them occupy the land. So they made a deal. And since the foreigners, Basaja, had more advanced technology, they figured that this could be a great advantage. So that's how the beginning and the turning event will start the war. Now we're going to move on to the next part, which will be the war itself. So, we have learned about the beginning of this war. Now we're going to learn about the war itself. When the country of Pacifica was discovered by Basaja in my previous video, and decided to make an alliance with the Delta tribe, the other tribes, the plain, the desert, and the jungle, became very hostile and wanted to get rid of the tribe who made alliance with foreigners that had come to their land. So the tribe decided from certain parts of the country band together to form a huge army to fight against the Delta and its ally. The native tribe from the desert, plains, and jungle had planned on attacking their enemy by the following day at dawn. The native attack the next day was repelled by troops from Basaja. There were 35 natives and 7 soldiers of Basaja were killed during the battle. The commander of the troops, Commander Franklin, has sent a request to the king for more troops and medical supplies because he knew that this was going to be a huge fight. And before we continue in this war, there is an article about Harold's enlistment to this war for the cause. And this article was on, that's in February, was on March 14th, 2022. And the article says Harold needs men to serve and support troops in Pacifica. Today on March 14, 2022, King Harold of Basaja is hiring new troops to serve in his army so that he could provide reinforcements for his men in Pacifica to colonize the country. Harold also promised to give any soldier rewards for their fight in the war, and that everything from their rent and debt and their account and any other profits would be paid until the new territory has been claimed. When the new territory has been claimed. Are you willing? And then there's an advertisement. Are you willing to join the King's Army? Well, look for an enlistment station at these locations, which are cities that I'm about to name in this universe: Blutton, Belton, Baumwire, Bamshire, Beckerman. If you want to learn more, enlist. Before you enlist, dial 784-084-KING or go to www.kingsarmyenlist.com for more information before you join the army. And this website is fake, so don't try it. And same with this phone number, it's fake. So anyway, let's continue with the war. So King Harold decided to send 3 of his ships full of men and other warfare materials, such as medical supplies and weapons and ammunition but it would take them 2 days for them to arrive, since it took 2 days for Pendergast to look for the island. Commander Franklin and the remaining soldiers has decided to camp for the night and to be on lookout for the enemy, because they knew that once they're not looking, the enemy may try to sneak up on them from behind and trying to take them out by surprise. So they are setting up night watches every night once they go to sleep. The reinforcements that Franklin have waited for managed to arrive and are well equipped for the natives' advance, and they have began to be occupied and ready for the natives' advances. Commander Franklin's objective is, once they have weakened the natives' strength or morale, they will go deeper into their territory, and once they will go deeper into their territory and fight them off there. Franklin has managed to win once again, but he had lost 21 men and 5 were wounded. Franklin only has a handful of men left, and if he asks for more reinforcements, they will not arrive on time before the natives prepare another offensive. So he has to regroup his men and move deeper into native territory, immediately. Commander Franklin sent 14 of his best men to look for the natives' camping ground through the Kanzanyan jungle. The men have located the enemy's camping grounds and their supply requests and the supply requests that they waited and reinforcements that they were also hoping for arrived just on time for the advance. Commander Franklin and his men had managed to move into the jungle, but were attacked by waves of Indians. They have managed to kill 37 Indians before they fled, and Franklin had lost 22 men out of 75. Franklin has decided that if they're going to try to push them out, then he won't let them come to him, and he will be ready for them once he will lead them towards him and towards himself, and then fight them where their port is, since it's the only defense position he has set up. Franklin has managed to fight the natives the next day once again, and during the battle, one of his soldiers has managed to take out one of the chiefs. Franklin hoped that he wouldn't have to fight another wave of Indians, because he only had medics and 3 armed riflemen that survived from the battle, along with some natives that were loyal to them from the beginning. He hoped that the native tribes would soon realize that they need to surrender. Harold has received a letter saying, excuse me guys, sorry you had to hear me yawn, saying that they may not manage to hold off another wave of natives and need help desperately. So King Harold of Basaja called President Azul of Bulgaria to help his men fight the natives in the new country. Azul agreed to help, but asked Harold what he would get in return for this favor. And Harold said that if he helps them win the war, they could split the country into 2 parts and claim their own territory for each country. Harold and Azul agreed to the terms, and both leaders are sending their troops now to help Commander Franklin with the natives and claim territory like they promised. While Commander Franklin is waiting for the new reinforcements to arrive, he is starting to hunker down near the ships that were ported there when the first battle was fought, and began to set up defensive positions just in case the natives tried to do another advance. Reinforcements for Franklin have arrived along with a group of Bulgarian soldiers. Commander Pui of Bulgaria has made a plan for Commander Franklin to follow. Pui's plan is to take the artillery with them as they are heading towards the Kanzanyan jungle. Once they are in position, they would then start to ambush any Indians that may try to raid the beach, and once the natives retreat, then they would follow them towards the Humanga Plains. Franklin agreed to the plan and started to get his men together for the offensive mission. Part 1 of the plan has succeeded, and they were setting up their ambush just in case as they were setting up their ambush, they have managed to be near an Indian camping ground close to them. So their focus is to ambush the Indians and weaken their morale if they fall back into the plain, so that they can fall back till they fall back into the plains to do their final stand. The ambush on the Indian camp was a success, and they have managed to push the Indians into the plains. The total casualties during the ambush were 119. 7 of them were Bulgarian soldiers, 34 were Basajan troops, and 78 were natives. Now the Indians are in the plains. Both commanders begin to set up the defensive positions and asked for one of their men to send a letter to Bulgaria for reinforcements to cover the harbor and camp at the beach. And the letter was sent, and it would probably take a day for the letter to be delivered. As Puy and Franklin's men were getting situated, a wave of native archers and hunters came out and attacked them, and again they had managed to hold strong, but lost more casualties. The men from both sides were slowly debating whether to fall back to their port or hold on until reinforcements arrive. But knowing that if they desert, they could be sentenced to death, so they decided to ask the leaders about the idea of regrouping. And of course, the leaders refused to move from the position, but But both Puy and Franklin managed to come up with an idea for a defensive strategy, if the natives decide to finish them off by the next morning or next afternoon. Both Commander Franklin and Puy ordered their men to hunker down behind the sand positions and to be silent. Their idea was to act like the position had been abandoned, so that when the natives come to investigate and come closer, they would do a surprise attack and fight them off as soon as the reinforcements show up. The tactic that Franklin and Puy agreed to use have worked, and as soon as they managed to defeat the natives, the reinforcements came right on time again. Now this was the opportunity to finish the war and colonize the new country. Since they have reinforcements and managed to push the Indians out of the plains, their next move is to fight them at the delta section known as the Tonga Delta. The natives tried to push the soldiers back onto the beach, but were defeated once again. This was a victory for the soldiers, and they are now hoping that the natives would surrender. Their wish was granted. The chief of the natives held a white cloth on his stick and waved it in the air. Commander Franklin went to the chief and began to negotiate with the chief that his tribe would be protected and they will help bury his men once they're done. They would trade everything to them and return to Pasaja Indies for the colony. The chief and the commander agreed to the terms. The commanders agreed to the agreements and shook hands, ending the war in a peaceful resolution. Now we're going to move on to the resolution and the casualty count. Reached to the end and the resolution of the resolution of the native wars and the casualty count. So the resolution starts out like this. After the natives surrendered to the Basajan and Bulgarian forces, the colonization of the country began. Basaja had one territory south of the country called Botswana and one more in the jungle region, which is Bana. As for the Bulgarian colonies, their territories were located on the southwest side of Aplacica. Their territories were called Benegal and Bali. This would hopefully help the Pasajan economy with its funding and in the trade and help grow their military power. The total casualties that were documented during this war was about 584. Also, after the natives had fallen to the Pasaja and its allies, he offered his ally Caberlin to the northeast of the country, and Caberlin agreed and started to move towards the new country on the northeastern side, leaving the old territory that they had occupied open. Even though this would be an advantage for any country to have, everyone refused to take it and leaving it abandoned. And also, guys, the country Caberlin is now known as the country of Kejipt. So if you want to learn about Egyptian history, it will discuss about how this worked. And we will discuss about that on Sunday. So now let's get to the casualty counts. So the total casualties at the time, Basaja had only a total of 261 troops. But during the war, they had lost a total of 135, which remained only 126 soldiers. So yeah, Basaja was pretty whooped, but won the war. And the total troops that Bulgaria had at the time was 333, and they only lost about 22 men, which resulted with Basaja only having a 311 left, so they were still pretty good. The natives themselves lost about 427 people during the war, and it resulted with the total number of 273. So the natives lost a lot more than both countries ever did. which is great because the reason why the natives wanted to surrender was to end the bloodshed between them. So the bloodshed between them is over, and their territory, their the natives are still friends with the colonial countries today, and have been at peace ever since the end of that war, and never had any revolts or riots or any other wars yet to come. And as long as they're on good terms, there won't be any war. So I want to say this is the end of the video. I thank you guys very much for participating. And since I'm at 49 subscribers, like I said before, if we get this up to 50 subscribers, I would be a happy person, and I will be doing a celebration video once I reach 50. And I want to say thank you, and I hope you guys have a blessed day. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.